Okay, we are just getting started. I'm not looking up yet. Um, we're getting started. This video is part of the Ehrman List series where we're trying to help both suppliers to Fortune 100 companies as well as Fortune 100 users of Internet of Things technology maximize the value that they can get out of their Internet of Things solutions. This is the Ehrman List series, and this particular video is on how to take on the giants, what new technology providers in the IoT industry need to understand about how to land Fortune 100 as customers. So, what is so great about the Fortune 100? Well, the first thing is what's big to you as a supplier is little to them. It's a big number for a smaller company who's just breaking into the industry. $1 million, $100,000 is really kind of almost a rounding error for Fortune 100 customers. So that's why they make great opportunities for smaller companies trying to accelerate revenue growth in this exciting and emerging industry. There's also a lot of potential if you're successful with a pilot, because typically the Fortune 100 customers have the most assets, and therefore they have the most to gain financially through a successful implementation of an IoT solution. However, you have to be careful because they are the most demanding customers in the world. They expect things to work. The individuals who do take a risk and sign on with a smaller, maybe lesser known company are risking their reputation. In a Fortune 100 company, it's very easy to just hide and go about your business as usual. And so when someone does take a risk and decide to contract with a smaller company for any type of project, it's extremely important that as a supplier you meet or exceed those expectations to make them look good and allow them to continue to move on throughout the phases that you have planned for a rollout to the entire Fortune 100 company. You have to be concerned though, because things do take longer. Fortune 100 companies don't move nearly as fast as you will want. You're going to get frustrated. Don't. This is very typical. The budget cycles are real. You often have to wait for the following year budget cycles. And so you really need to make sure that your ROI is extremely well documented and that your business case is bulletproof, because there's going to be a lot of competition to go out and get the funding for the IoT projects with many other projects that other champions are putting together. But it does pay off. In my experience, at one point our company only had 3 customers. That's my company beforehand, ID Systems. But we were doing $30 to $40 million in revenue. That was both Walmart and the U.S. Postal Service. So there is significant growth potential when you're successful with these Fortune 100 companies. So how do you do it? That's extremely the fundamental question. Well, it's very important to find a champion. That's easy for me to say, and there are a lot of people that you'll meet at these Fortune 100 customers, perhaps at trade shows, through your relationships, that will potentially appear to be a champion. But unless they want to buy from you as much as you want to sell to them, they're really not a good champion. So you need to find someone who believes in the technology, wants to make a difference, wants to take the opportunity to stand out at their Fortune 100 company. And again, they need to be willing and wanting to buy the system from you more than you want to sell it to them. And that's a tough standard. But when you find someone like that, make sure you continue that relationship, because they can take you extremely far. Once you do find that champion, for example, the champion can come from anywhere. At one point, we had developed a technology for the Postal Service, so I sent a fax to Ford Motor Company's main headquarters. This tells you how far back we're going by telling you it was a fax, saying the United States Postal Service is developing a technology to automate their forklifts and to ensure that they're operated more safely. I had a little bit of a discussion about what the technology was. I said that Ford could benefit from this because the government was paying for the development, and if they participate early in the process, we can make sure that it also meets the needs of Ford. And that one-page fax resulted in a communication to the Advanced Technology Manufacturing Division of Ford. We found the champion, who again ended up becoming someone who helped ultimately bring the technology throughout the entire Ford Motor Company. So it's a matter of finding that person. But when you do find that person, you can't burn them. You cannot overpromise and underdeliver. I mean, we actually landed some deals with Home Depot, and they have 120 distribution centers. Well, they ordered 4 distribution centers to put our system in, to test them out, and it took us nearly a year to get those installed. So what would that mean? A full installation would take potentially up to 30 years. That is over-promising and under-delivering, and that's something I needed to fix within our company, and I did, because you need to be able to execute. They want a partner who can, once you prove the value, execute and deliver on that promise. When you're a small company, it does help to have patents. That distinguishes yourself and allows the champion to answer why they're working with you when there are so many big players in the Internet of Things industry. So pointing to those patents is extremely helpful, both for you and the champion. Also, what you will be asked early and often is to participate in a free demo. That's a tough one because it costs a lot of money, takes a lot of your time, and typically when it's free and people aren't investing their own money in it, it means they're not as vested in seeing it successful. So if you're going to do a free demo, and I do recommend it with Fortune 100 companies, make sure to set the expectations up front of exactly what the technology is going to do, as well as the next steps if you meet those success criteria. You may not get them to commit to those next steps. I've never seen that work. But at least if the next steps are well defined, you have an opportunity to take that successful free demo and expand it to a first facility or second facility pilot, and ultimately throughout the enterprise. You can and don't be afraid to ask tough questions. Do they have a budget? When does the budget come into effect? Who approves the budget? Can you meet with them? These are all questions that you should feel comfortable asking, and if you have the right champion, they'll understand exactly why you're asking those questions. So that's how you will be successful with Fortune 100 companies based upon my experience. Click on the link below and follow me on social media and leave a comment on what your thoughts are on my approaches. Because again, I'm trying to save you time and money by helping you understand how you can accelerate your revenue and earnings in the IoT industry. Why start from scratch when I've already tried so many things and know what works and what doesn't? So follow the Earning List, and we'll keep you up to date on how to accelerate your revenue and earnings in the IoT industry.